In a world full of misery, rage, and insomnia, there's a place you can go to just unwind. All you have to do is take a long walk into the mountains, and just past the black house, the secret garden, you'll find a small cabin. Inside that cabin, you'll find the Hole in the Wall Book Club. So now that the dream catcher's hung and the fire started, we invite you to pull up a chair and join the Losers Club as we explore the world of slurping on people's necks and serious men. Hey everyone, Anthony here. Before we jump into it, I just want to let you know I'm pretty sure this episode was cursed. I just had 1,000 problems, so there's a couple bits where my data got distorted. I pieced together the best I could, but there are a couple weird cuts in this, and I apologize. Yeah. Blame Maine. I don't know, I'm waiting for you to be ready. We never do the beginning right anyway.
Okay,
cool. Hello and welcome to Hole in the Wall Book Club. I'm Anthony.
I'm Alex.
We're jumping into part 3 on Salem's Lot, right? The deserted village. After something as exciting as the Emperor of Ice Cream, I was hoping for something better. I also was hoping for something better out of this chapter.
Yeah.
Good. We talked last time about how, like, the whole part 2 could have lost 100 pages and it would have been fine. And they needed to go here. The pacing in this book is so bad.
The pacing and the priority.
Yeah.
Like, where he puts your attention.
Right. Actually, before we get into the book, I need to ask you the most important question. Alex, do you want an orange?
Oh, good.
Okay. Cool. Just checking.
Can't believe you have another one.
Yep. I bought this special, actually. Sorry, I interrupted.
Well, I mean, it starts with the issue. Isn't it the very beginning of this that does the long laundry list of setup for the village?
Yeah, it tells us what time it's supposed to be. Sunset. We get the excerpts. He goes into carry mode.
Does it have the almanac?
From the Old Farmer's Almanac. I'm going to read the days of... I bet that sounded great. Yep. Oh, that's a pretty waveform right there. I'm going to make it our new logo.
Yeah.
God, now I have to leave it in because I referenced it. I'll make it louder. No, okay, so yeah, the day's verse from the Old Farmer's Almanac, just to set the tone. See less sun, harvest nights. Wait, I can't talk. Harvest nigh done. That's supposed to be a lot more dramatic than it was. Yeah, God, I gotta say, this is the first time I'm real happy there's sections. Because when we saw how big this chapter was, this section saved us. And we kind of dance around the town. This is part 2. Except instead of a chapter, we get sections. Because it dances between, like, let's bounce around the town and tell you little snippets of stories. And now let's focus on someone for a while that's important and move along the plot. Now let's bounce around the town. Just in a chapter. It's weird.
Yeah, it is sort of the blend of the two.
It feels...
It's all those lots, plus someone back and forth, instead of...
But yeah, we get a bunch of, like... stuff.
Also, do they even call the sections that stuff anymore? The chapters in this? This is just the deserted village or whatever,
yeah,
right?
Chapter 14, the lot. 4.
Oh, it does have the 4?
So yeah, this whole thing has been part of the lot. We get quotes from stuff. We get, like, the weather from the Cumberland County Police Blotter. Nothing. And then the next section is basically just kind of finding out that the town's dead. Like... we jump around to a bunch of people.
A few more people are turned.
Yeah, which I didn't mark up there. I'm gonna while you're talking, I'm gonna look through, see who we have to put.
Yeah, it's a few more people are turned. People notice that the streets are barren. That doesn't seem to convince anyone really of anything.
Let's see. Important ones: Ruthie Crockett, who was the schoolgirl, like teenager that Dud, the guy from the dump, was always lusting after.
Oh, right.
And yeah, they banged. Yep. Dud did the thing.
Yeah.
Some didn't get in the way this time. There's a joke there, but I'm not gonna make it. I'm too classy for that.
Jeez.
It is, and like, I like that they're like every time they tell about a new vampire, they're like, oh, and the body is like in this fucking freezer on the side of the road. Like they're hiding in real weird spots.
Oh yeah, he really liked that. You know, this is in a freezer. This is behind a cabinet. This guy hides under a tarp behind that.
So we lose the librarian. We lose Virgil, who is one of the drunkards. And I gotta say, The drunkards are even more drunkards in this, because like it's revealed they live in a tent. They're I thought they had jobs and were like working alcohol. No, it just dashes them a little bit more. Who else we lose? Yeah, this Christ, he thought drinking, drifting into sleep again. This is from Franklin, the one who lived so far. What was we into last night? Sterno. So yeah, made him a little bit more drunkards.
I feel like what he's probably supposed to be doing here at the beginning of this is showing you like when you're watching a movie and like sort of an act is done, and then you get that immediate start of the next one where it's like logical catch up. You know the cause, but you won't watch it all happen effect. But the way this it's like a laundry list.
Yeah.
It just pops up and goes, this guy, this happens, here, here.
And then we hit the first one I care about, which is it's heavily implied Weasel's dead. We get it from Ava's perspective, and she's basically like, hey, Weasel always helps me take out the trash. Where is he? He must have drunk too much. And then she kind of like keeps telling herself like, no, he didn't go out, blah, blah, blah.
He like gets an eerie feeling that he might be behind a door.
Right.
But then doesn't check it.
Yeah, because I think she's just going down there to put...
With this book, this entire book, every time someone has a feeling, it's true.
Yep.
So...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've lost old Weasel Craig, which saddens me so much.
But I mean, is he turned? If he's hiding in there, or does it just mean his dead
body? How many people have we seen dead from the vampires?
Very few.
Like in this, we get one guy who dies of a heart attack. I don't remember who that was. It's
the guy they literally make a comment of. One of only 2 natural deaths in the entire town during this.
Yeah. It's like almost 100% turn rate.
No, this is what I was saying. I think I mentioned this before.
It's more zombie than
There's
vampire.
a very weird feeling in this town. The way this town's kind of falling, in that it's obviously vampire aside being evil, because vampire,
right,
turning people into your thralls and stuff is evil. But minus the husband who, when he caught his wife cheating, proceeds to beat the crap out of her, and as we find out later, continues this chain of crap. Yeah. And the mom who beat the kid.
It's like sophisticated evil.
But the weird thing is that this is where it feels bad, in where other situations it's actually interesting. So like I'm mainly using the movies for this argument, but in it, you're shown bad people, and then there's it. But the reason why is multi-layered, in that it's affecting the town, making people kind of crappy, but also that it is just that much more extreme than that.
Right.
You can still place him at the supernatural, but if you're just going around kind of, and then here's a guy or a mom who just beats her infant child. Okay. Yeah. I mean, especially when we get towards, as we'll get later too, the clash of good and evil in a supernatural sense is just
right.
Power Rangers level actually happens. So,
hey, we're back. And Alex, would you like an orange?
No. You doing this kind of makes it feel like you've read some book that we haven't gotten to yet, and there's something with an orange in it.
God, something. I hope there's something with an orange in it that I will claim I read before. I'm going to edit that out. So when you call me out on it, no one will believe you. You know I'm not going to bother doing work. We were talking about Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah. That's basically the end of, I think, where we stop at the 25.
Yeah. What?
The 25
part. Right, yeah. Through this, I think we get Ava doing her stuff, worrying about Weasel. There's a bit here, but let's skim through. And then Mark shows up, asking for Ben.
Right. Asks for Ben, is told he can wait because Ben's asleep. Ben gets up, he gets told, he walks outside, sees Mark, and then he looks into Mark's eyes the way he looked into Susan's eyes.
Oh my God.
And you might think I'm just trying to be weird about this, but he has literally, as he describes, the exact same sensation as he did when he met Susan.
Yep.
That fate decided that Mark and Ben should meet.
Yep.
And then it's quite basically what you expect. Ben goes, hey, this, or I'm sorry, Mark goes, this has happened. Vampires are real. Do you believe me? And of course, Ben believes him.
We did miss one tiny little bit because it happens in a paragraph after Mark's told to wait before the next section starts. We get the cop or the deputy.
Oh, that when they're dicking around outside?
Yeah, it's before we get to Ben waking up. It's the guy that met with Ben and Cody at the morgue the night before. We find him finding Susan's car, and then Barlow turns him into a vampire.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yep. We just get that little
because then his car is found later with hers, yeah.
And then we jump into locking eyes between Mark and Ben, where they look at each other, they suddenly know each other's soul, and in unison they say, "You're a serious man."
Maybe that's the name of what actually this power. It's a serious man power.
Oh, there it is. We found another taste for The Shining.
Because, I mean, who's left now, men, in the group? Susan's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So only serious men can beat vampires.
That's it. It's not the cross of the host. It's the seriousness of the man.
Yeah. They basically
Joker could never beat a vampire.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. They get in a car and decide to go for a ride.
Yep.
Where they both just agree that they both now believe in vampires.
Yep. Sue's a vampire. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. We go through this sort of, honestly, a little forced Ben turmoil over this. I don't believe him. I don't want to believe him.
We get a flashback to his
but I
motorcycle
haven't heard
accident,
from her.
which I honestly had forgotten happened. Because it's mentioned like twice.
It only exists for very specific moments, and then it's not a thing to him anymore. But yeah, I believe this one gets even more detailed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, he gets up with nothing but a scratch on him. He sees the guy who's pulled over. Then he goes looking for his wife. Guy says you shouldn't really look, but he does. And despite him only having a scratch on his hand, she's completely like obliterated.
Oh, yeah.
And then he starts drawing a connection.
It's like Carrie was driving that car.
Yeah. And then he starts drawing the connection between her and Susan. Like, I can't do it again. I can't lose her. That's that kind of thing. But it's a little forced.
Yeah.
Like, it's just gonna...
They drive around for a bit, and then they see the sheriff's car. The guy that we saw him get turned into a vampire. Oh, yeah, the sheriff's and Sue's car. We get them walking around, checking it out. There's this ridiculous bit there where, like, they find the gun. I think Mark picks it up. It's like, hey, I found a gun. Gives it to Ben. And they kind of put it together pretty quick. They're like, I'm pretty sure the sheriff's a vampire now. I bet he's in the trunk of that car. Hey, Mark, open up that trunk. I was like, what the fuck, Ben? Dude, what the fuck? But sheriff isn't there.
They're also this gang is surprisingly quick to take Mark in for being a kid.
Yeah.
They're all
he's
immediately
a serious man.
Exactly. They sense the serious man in him because that's what they all kind of basically say.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's real. He's real together. He's real sturdy. He can handle vampire stuff.
And then they go see Matt Burke. They go to the hospital. And from there we get a couple team meetings here in the hospital room. But this is the one that ground my gears. This is the end of this bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is fun.
It's like, we get everyone here. We've got the whole team. Jimmy, Mark, Ben, Matt, and Cody. Who I said twice because I called him Jimmy and Cody. They fill each other in, hey, Sue's a vampire. Mark, tell your story. And they do. And then
we get Matt's lore dump.
Yeah.
About exactly what the vampire was doing the whole time for the most part. Why the dog is killed. Because it had cataracts or something. Some white eyes or some crap like that.
Yeah, it was a white dog with white eyes.
And that meant it could see them for what they were or see what was going on. And so it had to be killed. The one, what's the brother who didn't? Ralphie?
Yep.
He's killed as a sacrifice.
Which I have issues with this. Like, I know we got that scene with, the little words and such. But honestly, dude was in a box. He was weak as shit from being shipped here. I guess on a boat? Because that's the thing. You can cross water if you're in your coffin, right?
If you're in your own soul.
Inside this kid Ains.
Basically.
It was just it seems like overblown. I don't know.
And then, making of the kid, Danny or whatever.
Yep.
Into a vampire. Everything's just kind of explained.
And he's basically
doesn't he give absurd numbers? Don't they need something like 800 crosses or stakes and 400 of something out? It literally
that's
sounded...
that's in the next team meeting.
Oh, okay, because that just sounds
because this is just you got this is when he tells Ben, hey, this is Barlow's bride now. You have to be the one to kill her and him. And I was just like,
I mean, according to saving her means,
right?
I'm assuming soul because you're not saving her life. So, I know the whole like Dracula, you had to hack off Dracula's head to cure her before she's fully turned, but she's already fully turned,
right?
So you're just killing both of them.
I mean, he's telling him that straight up. Like, you got to pound. It tells her how to go through it. It's well, they say to go to Father Callahan. They got to go to confession. They fix his steaks, all that jazz.
Holy water, yeah.
And then they're told to go get garlic and white roses, I believe, to wear around their neck or on their neck or something. I'd never heard that. That one was new to me. You gotta be the one. And I don't know.
But when they go and get roses, I love that part because that's when we get the overreaction, slamming your own head into a wall. Stupid.
Okay, cool. Like, we got it. Stephen King. We figured it out. We were there already. Without talking about
So I knew it was happening, but where was the surprise? And so I remember kind of, since I read it on my phone, pages are kind of shorter, and so there's less on them, so that whole wabang when you get to it kind of thing. And so I was like, it was like a real sigh when I...
Dude, I spoiled so much of this one for you. Like, when we were talking the day, I thought we had already recorded this. Making, like, the whole...
Yeah.
Like, I said so many things that I later went home and I was rereading. I was like, no, we haven't talked about any of that yet. What am I doing?
There were a couple of things.
But from here, we jump back over to Ava. And this is when Stevie King's had been reading Lord of the Rings at this time. That's the pacing we're getting. I have people coming at me now.
Yeah.
You can make fun of Stephen King, but Lord of the Rings?
Well, the thing is that even it's where it is even that's bizarre. Like, with Lord of the Rings, you get lost in the exact same spot with the exact same stuff. This is heard, and then as she's walking away, there's still but she kind of feels it sort of thing.
Yep.
And since we know in this book, all feelings are true.
Yes.
If you feel, I don't think there's a single spot in this book that when someone has a feeling, it isn't 1000% accurate.
No, it's straight up.
So he's probably behind that door.
Yep, and he's got the vampire stink that they sometimes have. Can we take a moment to talk about an inconsistency? Something we've talked about before, but we've kind of been writing off as like, I'm sure there's going to be an explanation. There is no reason Danny Glick shouldn't have had bite marks. Throughout the rest of this, our like savior squad here checks each other's necks to make sure they haven't been bitten. Almost everyone else has bite marks. Like,
and we're not talking about after he reses. We know that people heal after they res. He was checked before he died, and he had no bite marks.
Yep.
And everyone else has bite marks at that stage.
Yep.
I know. I think the weakest argument I could make generated from the book was that this was a ritualistically generated vampire somehow, and so it wasn't done the normal way. But I'm having to yank directly from kind of the whatever he's made up.
Yeah, where I'm pretty sure I'd put money on Ralphie.
It had to be a surprise. No one could know he was.
Ralphie got... Okay. No, it had to be a surprise marks, because we don't get much in bite marks.
I mean, could you imagine what this story would have been had the kid come in and he's got vampire bites in his neck? How much that would have changed this entire story?
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, okay. Diversion over. We jump back to Father Callahan. They get there, and this was another, like, I have a feeling Stephen King does not like the concept of confession. I could be wrong on that. But man, it was described, like, in the same way you describe just straight up hard addiction.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. When I read it, it was just very... It seemed to veer off, like, its own purpose. I wasn't even sure what he was doing with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a moment of confession really for Ben, and it wasn't really an interesting way to see these two people interact with each other. It was like Ben dropped acid as soon as he stepped into the booth and just went to somewhere in his head.
Yeah, like you get like Ben's opinions on confession and the experience, but the actual confession is, and he told him a sentence. Like there's a mention that like he thought it would get easier as it went, but it didn't.
Yeah, so it's like, you don't really hear much of that. Weird way he's handling it as it happens. You're just like, what are you?
Yeah, and then, like, there was this bit at the end where...
And doesn't actually find some mints or something?
It was a Junior Mints box.
Yeah.
Like, he sees an empty Junior Mints box in, like, the bottom of the confessional, and he's like...
Doesn't it bring him to reality?
Yeah, there's a Junior Mints box here. What could be more real? I'm just like, I guess I see where you're going with that, but if I jump...
Yeah.
Like, nothing as just down to earth as a crushed Junior Mints box in the bottom of a confessional. I might just be maybe I'm just not smart enough.
Yeah,
I think Stephen King's a little too highbrow for me on this one.
Doesn't he, when he steps out of the confession booth, like has some like, and he realizes it's still in his hand, crushed.
Yep. Ben's not doing well. He already misses Sale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yep. But he is going to be going over to that Marston house. His dream come true.
That is the next thing, right? Then they all pile in a van.
Yeah. Well, they go. This is when they go shopping.
Oh yes, the roses.
Yeah. There's
Love
this weird
this.
conversation where they're talking about like, well, I wonder what why garlic works, and I think it's father. No, it's the doctor who's like, I think it's an allergy. I mean,
This is the straw that breaks the camel's back for some bizarre reason. We're done for. The vampire... And he goes on this tangent basically where the vampires... Or Barlow has predicted every move, seen every step they'd take, and you're just like, what?
you just bought garlic. If he was really that good, he would have bought up all the garlic.
And they get, of course, get hyperbolic, yeah.
And then...
Or not Maine. They're already in Maine, but Canada and so on.
We might as well go to Australia. And I was like, yeah, why don't we just leave? It'd be good. But then they get to the Marston house.
Bringing up my point I think I made off podcast before too is, why has no one left the town?
Right?
How does it get this bad visibly? I don't care if you believe it's vampires. If you get up every day, every morning, decade after decade, and one morning, and just day after day, you suddenly realize no one's on the streets, because that's in that intro.
Right.
It's not just that a bunch of people are turned. It's that there's almost no one in the park, no one on the road. Schools have more and more people not showing up. And the sheriff and everyone else are just like, yeah, it's a little not busy today. Something's a little weird going on.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, something's weird. Like, you've not looked into it. And if anyone in this town is truly freaked out, why haven't they... I'm not saying pick up and move, but stay at a sister who lives in a different state's house. Yeah. No one's reacted to how weird everything in the town is.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anything the vampire's doing that would... I mean, this isn't the Shadow. He's not hiding a section of the city from everyone with mind tricks. I don't
or maybe,
know.
maybe all the roads loop back in.
Maybe there's some foggy place that behind the fog you actually...
Maybe Salem's Lot is actually hundreds of thousands of years in the future. That's a spoiler for a book and a show that I'm not going to say the name of. Dun dun dun. Under the Dome. Yeah, I spoiled Under the Dome. That's a lie, but don't read it. I was trying to spoil it for your own safety. Yeah, this is when they actually get to the Marston house.
Yeah, they actually are like, yeah, we got to do it. We don't have much time left. They go there. We then just get, I feel like, oh, yeah, this is where Callahan whips out his...
Callahan's a badass in this
Yeah,
chunk.
this is where he goes, like, priest D&D level.
Yeah, yeah. He brandishes his holy symbol.
So they get to the door, and it's got this new knocker, but otherwise old door, and like a few of the parts are fixed, but... And I believe it describes it as Callahan feels compelled to just hold up the cross and shout in God's name, and the door just gets, like, it's smite.
He smote the door with the crucifix in his hand.
Doesn't it melt the thing on the front?
Straight up melts it, like, the burst of light. Dude, he channels divinity.
No, it's exactly what it is.
Straight up. And everyone's just like, nice.
You're in front.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then they go upstairs. They point down, like, he's going to be in the cellar. But they go upstairs and they find Straker.
I will admit at this moment, because of what he did there, for a second, considering it's 4 people, I felt like this was almost like an in-house Darkest Dungeon. I was imagining Priest, and then if they were all other different classes all going in.
Yeah. Who's who? Cody's the plague doctor.
Yeah.
I feel like no matter what I say from Mark, someone's going to yell at me. They're all terrible.
Ben might be like, what's that occulty looking...
The occultist?
Is the occult? Yeah, that could be Ben.
Mm-hmm.
The lore, he's into this house.
Yeah. I also think the occultist has to stare at some weird house to get off.
Yeah.
And you know what? As so far the only one of them to actually like successfully kill any opposition, I think Mark is our what is that called? The Hellion.
Oh, okay.
This is the giant fuck off sword.
Yeah.
There we go. There's a great diversion for all of our listeners who have not played Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah.
God. But yeah, they find Straker hung upside down, his throat slashed open, and he's been blood completely. And Straker's just human?
Yeah, he's he appears to have basically been the mad servant-esque character Dracula, but kind of given a.
But with all that strength, I mean.
Well, no, that's a thing. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know exactly what the limits of what a thrall could or couldn't be.
Right.
So, I mean, he was pale and whatnot. I don't.
But I doubt we're going to hear any more about him.
No, probably not.
Yep.
They of course freak out when they see him. I don't think anyone says anything particularly clever other than like what would make him do this to his own or something like that.
Yeah, and like Father Callahan,
because we find out in the
talks
letter
about
why.
like Saint Paul's crucifixion. Like they speculate.
Oh yeah, the reason why you'd hang someone upside down because their heads face down, not towards heaven. Yeah.
It's weird because they speculate and they're partly right. And then, like, in the next section, it's directly told what happened, including the part that they're speculating about. It's like, why do you keep revealing just the slightest amount of information as if it's like, ooh, but we're not sure. Okay, here it is confirmed. Next page. You're good.
Yeah.
Because then they go down to the basement.
Yeah.
Priest first. He's got magic powers.
No, he clearly does, yeah.
Yep.
They find the desk. I believe it's the same desk you saw earlier in the book when the two guys who worked for the guy we haven't seen in forever. Now that I think about it, where the hell did that guy go?
I don't know.
It just dawned on me. What's his
we
name?
have them both up there.
Larry Crockett,
Royal Snow, and Henry Potter.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Larry Crockett.
We get a check in on him a little bit later.
Do we?
Yeah. Well, his daughter is definitely a vampire. After the next night, when we get the town check in, they talk about him a little bit.
Oh yeah, I guess they do.
Yeah,
I thought
he's turning into a vampire. He's starting to feel the sick, and he's not going in the sun. He is hinting at being he's a vampire.
But yeah, they find the letter.
Yeah, basically they find the letter,
and
they
it
find
just goes, "Hey, explain
Barlow's
to you."
not here.
Yeah. Barlow's not here. He explains exactly what he did. He states he's going to come after Mark, kill his parents first. To make Mark suffer because Mark forced him to kill Straker.
Yep.
By reducing him to that, basically.
I didn't have enough blood. I had to do it.
And then tells Ben that Sue is in the next room and she's your present before you come to me.
Yep. And he's got a little bit about Father Callahan, about how Catholicism's dumb.
Oh, yeah.
He leaves a little bit to get inside each of their heads.
Yeah.
Basically. And then
Catholicism's dumb. I wish that's all it said. Like everyone else was intimate, and at the bottom, Catholicism's dumb.
Yup.
Signed Barlow.
Love it. Stick it in your fancy hat, dummy. I do like later when they meet, he keeps calling him shaman.
Oh yeah. Because he talks about like even before Catholicism existed, there were like rites to fight vampires.
Oh, it's good. I liked that bit.
Yeah, no, that was legit.
But God, it's the pacing for me. Like
where he stops to look, and then when he pulls back and speeds through, or just almost feel arbitrary.
Yeah. But then we get a quick cutaway to the cops, where neither of them are vampires yet. I was so certain Nolly was going to be a bad guy, but I don't think he is.
No, but they both feel like they're like these two people who are so apathetic despite being the cops.
It's like the Andy Griffith show.
Everything is happening around them, and they have this protective bubble that lets them run around doing nothing.
Yeah, because this whole scene is Nolly being
Sheriff's
like,
just sitting outside. What's going on? Yeah.
Hey, Sheriff, I got me a ham sandwich from the store. I'm going to go throw it at a prisoner. Don't you be doing that, Nolly. Like, yeah, it's like a little, it's weird.
Despite all the bad things, the police seem utterly unaffected.
We do find out in this that Parkins, basically, this whole time, Parkins seems off. Nolly's like, hey, Parkins, are you okay? Nope. Just one word answers. And then eventually, Nolly asks him directly, like, are you all right? What is going on? He's like, I'm not all right. I'm scared shitless.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, something's wrong. I don't know what it is. I'm terrified. And that was the scene.
I come out here to this little stump here and smoke every day, and I'm just terrified.
Yep.
But I won't do it.
So this, like, even more on... And he's, right, staring up at the Marston house.
Oh, yeah, the binoculars.
There's some talk of, like, they've seen the cars there. And he's like, should we go talk to him? Parker's like, nope, I'm staying out of it. But why is he fucking leaving? Back to your point. Like, someone has noticed the town's gone to hell. and is admitted they're terrified of it, it won't leave.
And it's not because he's some noble cop, because he doesn't do anything.
No. I do like the line, I believe, Gillespie said, that I'm scared shitless. And then we jump back in for Ben. Back to the hunting party, standing over Sue. They, like, check her 3 or 4 times, make sure she's dead, like, check her pulse, like, with the, Jimmy pulls out the medicals. Yeah.
She's pretty.
Oh, yeah.
We just have to point out how fine every vampire body is.
Yeah. There was a line in here. In life, she had been a cheerfully pretty girl who had missed the turn to beauty somewhere, perhaps by inches. It's like, what? But now that she's dead, damn.
Exactly. That's it. So
Making my serious man stand. I think I cracked the code. Yeah. But we get this real intense scene of, hey, Ben, kill her.
No, kill her. No, you do it. No, you need to.
You have to for some unspecified reason.
Do it. No, do it. And then eventually he puts the stake where her heart is.
Thinks about Van Helsing.
Yeah, gets a weird, like...
Thinks about the queen.
What bumps into my hand? Oh, it's the hammer. Right, remember that hammer that Mark remembered to bring. And then nails it into her chest, and of course blood goes clownishly spraying everywhere. She starts... wiggling about as she's being killed. And then I think when he's driven in enough, that's when he just kind of drops them both and books it. They finish it off without Ben.
Yep.
He stakes her, he flees, they do the head cutting, put her in a box, throw her in the river, the whole 9 yards.
The full thing you had to do was stake, cut off the head,
face it down,
and then in running water, right?
Yep. They put it in a box, throw it in running, or a bag or whatever, throw it in running water.
Yep. Yeah. And I had a bit here that I'm going to rant about, because this keeps happening. It's the, like, constant mini spoilers. Like...
You mean like the prologue of this book?
Yeah. It's outright, but it's also, like, constant little things. I can't just skip the prologue, because I could do that. But, like, in here, there's a bit where, like, Stephen King jumps out of the moment to, like, omniscient narrator mode and has to tell you, Ben hears those screams in his nightmares for years. I'm like, oh, so he lives? Thanks. I knew he got out eventually, but it sounded like he went back. But hold up. Stop doing this. You didn't add anything.
No, not really, because that would be implied.
Right.
I'm assuming anyone who has to stake the person they love through the chest and hears them scream is going to remember.
Still do. He does a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I apologize if I just ruined anyone, because once you start seeing it, you don't stop seeing it.
Oh, no.
It's like the Pringles of
Carrie did it
things.
belligerently, but that actually was so it was so new. This is like familiar material. You know what vampires are and stuff like that. So there's nothing he can be like, surprise.
Yeah.
It's just, nope, spoil. So I'm very interested when we get to The Shining next to see if he starts toning down that habit.
And that one I've read, but it was one of the very early ones I read, so I don't remember it at all. And then from there, this is when we get the check-in with the town. We have to start it off super poetically and talk about how fall works. It's not bad. It just feels weirdly out of place. I'm
not sure what it's meant to do. Is it meant to calm you down, set you? It just feels so arbitrary. I don't know what you're telling me.
Yep. Like, going through the check-in, Mabel Wirtz, still alive, still doing her thing. We got a letter that would have been very differently received in a modern time, where Mark's parents get a call from the local Catholic priest, Father Callahan. Mark's parents are not Catholic. Your son is with me. He's fine. I will have him home shortly. Goodbye. That call would be very differently received in a modern day. Milt Crossan, I think. Oh, that was the Stephen King cameo. He was the deli guy, I think. Mm-hmm. We get a bunch of just jumping around. I think people on our board are, I believe, both the farm kids who we have not seen since the very beginning are vampires now. So I think I got one on that.
One, yeah.
It's not guaranteed. We haven't seen any of these rise, but I'm pretty sure. We find out they slept in a stack of hay.
Wait, so I still got Mabel Wirtz so far?
Yeah, she's still alive so far.
Yeah. I wonder if that gossip power will protect you to the end.
Yep. we check in with the Sawyers. That's the cheating couple.
Oh yeah, that's a fun check-in.
Yeah, you had some stuff to say there. I don't know how much I want to touch it.
It was just pointless.
Yeah.
It was like we're the vampire thing is in full force. Why are we cutting away to be like, hey, so like she can't sit down. He beats her so badly, and I just want to let you know that he's raped her every night since he caught her cheating. And you're just like, okay. I don't know what that was supposed to inform me.
He flushed all her pills. It's not specified what, so there's a lot of different things that could imply.
Yeah, but it's just like, okay, neat. Like, and then do they die? Because that's the weird thing. Right after this, we just cut back to what we were reading.
Yep. We get Roy McDougal, who leaves his wife sick in bed to go to the bar and considers leaving town. It's just that. We see him leaving to go to the bar and consider leaving town. That's all that happens. It's just tiny little check-ins with random people. This is where we get the guy who dies of a heart attack.
Ah, yes.
It's just all these side characters
he's like eating in front of the TV or something, and then he just gets hit with a heart attack.
Yep.
I think he goes to call but collapses before.
And we're once again doing the time countdown thing.
Yeah.
And then sunset, vampires are eating people now. Then we jump back to the hospital room. We got Matt in bed. Jimmy and Cody walk in.
Yeah,
and this is where
Father and Mark will be at the.
This is the team meeting I had the more trouble with because they give him the letter. They give him the briefing, and so Matt's response to this blows me away. He reads the letter. He's like, he's smart. He's playing chess, but he's arrogant. He's an arrogant son of a bitch, and we can use that. I consider myself an expert on his psychology. He actually references Minecraft Holmes, and he's like, I've been sitting here thinking about him so much that I have cracked him. Like, you have no proof that this letter confirmed everything for you. Like, this whole he's an arrogant asshole. We can use that. Now, this is who I am. It blew me away.
He's taken upon the mantle of Van Helsing.
Yeah. He comforts Ben for a while, talking about hey, we actually did do some good stuff. There's a bit where Ben's freaking out about he left Sue there just to toy with us, which Matt's like, no, vampires aren't cheap. But honestly, I actually think Ben's right on this one. With how many fucking vampires this guy has, I actually think he just left there and be like, I'm gonna break Ben real quick.
Yeah. Do they begin to talk about the fact that they've split up from...
That's what they started. Yeah, they started that here.
They're starting to complaining about that. And he's like, no, that's our weakness. We all need to be here. But don't go get them now because then we'll be breaking up into three. He gets really hardcore about the technicality of being one group versus two groups versus three groups. And that the smaller they are, the more they'll be hit. All of these things make sense.
Right, because we find out that Father Callahan took Mark to his parents to get them all to come.
Yeah.
Because Barlow was just like, I'm going to murder your parents. It was the only specific threat he made there, I think.
Because, I don't know if they tell... Yeah, does it bounces back and forth?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, because it goes... Mark and Father Callahan, when they get there, decide to sit down and try to talk to them.
Yeah.
But that goes nowhere because you get this blurb about how Mark's father is an economist. It's about money. He's rational. You're giving the robot speech. This guy is always about the most rational,
and Mark finally makes more sense.
Yeah.
This is the first time he has been characterized like this at all.
That's
and
true.
We're just told this is how he is.
So, of course, the dad thinks this is the biggest pile of horse shit.
Right.
And, what is it they agree upon to do to go check? I think go to the hospital to see Matt.
Eventually,
because it's actually because
it basically boils down to him being like, "Yo, I don't believe you, and if I believe anything that you're saying, you involved my son in a murder. Yeah. Which was a weird thing for me. Him being like, let's go talk to the people you got in that hospital room." Then we're going to the police.
But at the same time, I'm going to tell you that I'm pretty sure they're all going to be lying for you, so I won't really believe them anyway.
If he is a cold, rational man and thinks there's a chance that they murdered someone, maybe just go straight to the police.
Yeah.
We as the readers know they're not going to answer. But Gillespie's just being... Parkin's just being like, no, Nolly, lock me in the cell.
So they do that. They decide to. What is the reason the dad?
They pick up the phone to call the hospital,
call the
and
hospital.
the line's dead.
Yeah, phone line's dead.
And Father Callahan freaks out. He's like,
he absolutely believes it's something. The dad's like, no, power going out's not funny. Or
and then the lights cut.
Yeah, and then
we cut back to the hospital. That's where they cut it back and forth.
Kind of just keep going on and on.
Yeah, they're basically like, I tried to call Mark's house, the line's out, Barlow's there. And it's a repeat of the thing before where Matt's like, yo, yeah, either they're dead or they're going to make it away. We can't help. By the time we get there, it's over. And he actually has a point there, but he already made that point last section.
Yeah.
It's just a repeat.
Basically.
Like, we do get... No. We get Ben swearing revenge. That's what we get out of this.
Yes. Yeah.
And just, I hate that way. I hate that trope. It's okay. Yes, and he's not going to have me until I've had revenge for Susan. I hate that trope of someone being like, I refuse to die unless I avenge this person. Like, that is not your choice, man. Like, you can do your best. That doesn't give you a protection. I hate that trope.
Yeah.
And this is when we jump back into arguably the most exciting part of this book so far.
Glass bursts in the kitchen or wherever he's getting the phone. It's at first described as like a black dash into the house, zipping around. He basically grabs, I don't know if he like shows himself until he grabs Mark's mom and dad.
Yeah, he grabs them by the head and just bashes their heads together,
cartoon
killing
style,
them.
just clicks them right into each other.
It was straight up Looney Tunes
and they both
shit.
drop. So of course Mark goes, and runs up, and Barlow picks him up, does the little hold my fingernail to your throat, I'm gonna slit it thing.
Yeah.
And of course, sort of mixed into this at this moment, Callahan has pulled out his cross.
That's where we get the light from. Yeah, someone sees what's going on.
Yeah, he shoots all this light around.
Like he's got this thing down packed.
No, it's straight up priest power.
Yeah.
And the Barlow starts screaming and like cowering and telling him to put the damn thing away. And then eventually, it tells him he's going to kill Mark, obviously. He's got it. So
I'll slit his jugular.
They go back and forth a bit. This is actually, I think, where the whole shaman...
Yep.
Before, when the Catholic Church was a child, I was fighting things that tried to kill me and...
Spook notes, read this part. It's good.
Yeah, it actually is.
It's section 20 of chapter 14 of part 3 of Salem's Lot.
So you get a little back and forth on that. He ultimately makes a deal with the priest, says, you toss the cross away or whatever, I'll let Mark go. And in a weird kind of actual weirdly positive gesture, he throws Mark away first.
Yeah.
And goes, see, I've done it.
Like, I was like, how can I trust you? And Barlow goes, oh yeah, okay, I'll let him go now. You can trust me, I did it.
And then he screams for Mark to run before he puts the cross down. But then this is where we get the thing that rubbed me the wrong way.
Yes, go ahead, rant away.
So basically at some point, I can't remember if this is where the exact moment is, he suddenly realizes that Barlow looks exactly like Mr. You may find the name in there. The thing that hid in Father Callahan's closet when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find the name.
Pale face, looked a certain way, There was an entity that Callahan believed to have lived in his closet when he was a kid. That he'd have his dad check, his mom check under the bed, in the closet, and they never found it. But every night the thing would stare out at him from the closet. Barlow apparently looks exactly like this. And for some reason, this just cracks Callahan up one side, down the other. And basically, he loses faith.
Yep.
Yeah, for this correlation for some reason. Because this looks like this breaks Callahan.
Mr. Flip.
Yeah, there you go.
Mr.
I knew
Flip.
it was some goofy name. Yeah.
Yeah.
So because Barlow, he suddenly realizes Barlow looks like Mr. Flip. He's like, nope.
The cross stops shining.
It gets dimmer and dimmer. Vampire gets a bigger grin on his face as he starts slow marching towards Father Callahan.
And monologuing.
Yeah.
He's got to tell us that, like, faith is the only thing that's powerful against him. That's just a trinket without your faith, and just snaps the cross.
Yeah, which they think was his mom's. I think they make a point about that. And then he grabs Father Callahan. Oh, and then he says, you will take of my sacrament. making, the
Slits
whole...
his own neck.
Yeah.
Barlow's own neck, yeah.
Forces Callahan's face, starts rubbing his face into his neck until Callahan can't do anything but drink some of it.
Mm-hmm. And I want to point out that, like, after Callahan loses his faith, like, before Callahan loses his faith, Barlow either calls him shaman, or once Callahan's like, fucking stop calling me a shaman, I'm a priest. He starts calling him priest. The moment Father Callahan loses his faith, he only refers to as false priest. It's real good. I noticed that.
But then basically this was so annoying because I have absolutely no idea how that justified Callahan losing his faith.
Right.
It just... You're fighting a vampire and suddenly it looks like the thing they used to hide in your closet. Do you stop believing? Like...
Yeah.
I just don't know how A gets to B here at all.
I want to know why it looked like the thing in his closet. Because... there's not that many options. It could be
could be a manipulation. You went the Supreme King screw with your head thing. It's either manipulation. It's either we're gonna mix in it somehow somewhere because it would take the form of many different awful things.
But like the way Mr. Flip was described to the reader sounded a lot like Barlow.
No, that was the other weird part. He makes it sound like it looks so much like Barlow, as if to suggest that like. Barlow had been peeping on him when he was a kid.
He's playing like 12D chess.
Yeah. And I was just like, I don't believe that's the case because I feel like Barlow would have taken advantage of that because he had watched him as a kid. So I don't think that's the case.
Like,
but how
does Barlow know who ends up being the priest of the town? Does he just maybe like every child in this area of around that time saw Mr. Flip just in case any of them became priests?
I guess, but then why didn't anyone else react when they saw him in relation to being Mr.
Because
Flip?
it's a terrible theory, Alex. That's why no one else reacted. Why aren't you asking the real questions? Like,
no.
Do you want an orange?
No.
Okay.
I feel like, I'm going to feel like that scene of me. No.
Okay.
No, not an orange.
We should probably speed up through this.
This actually is pretty quick. I believe one or two of the parts are like a page.
Yeah,
it's super short.
We jump to the hospital where we see Anne, who is not a vampire.
Oh,
Straight
yes,
up,
this
not
little
a vampire.
thing. Yes,
she's been like we get a bit about her like having chatted with Barlow. I don't think she knows his name. We know that Sue had been feeding on her, but had not killed or turned her. But Barlow's been mesmerizing her and making her hate that not serious enough man. Ben Mears.
So she's basically going to go punish her on him.
Yep.
She goes to the hospital.
Looking terrible.
Yeah, they're supposed to be going to. Is more blunt than I was expecting right off the bat. I thought she was going to sneak in, but
I thought so too.
She walks up and to the aide at the desk and just pulls the gun on her.
Yeah.
And I believe tells her to look away or something. That sounds like she's going to do something worse.
Don't scream, I'll kill you if you do.
Yeah, and then...
turn around, that was it.
Yeah, and I believe...
Just
is when she goes to
random...
pull... Oh, yeah, she goes to pistol whip her. That's what she has her turn around. As she goes to pistol whip her, she suddenly feels something hit her at the leg. She buckles, then the gun gets knocked out of her hand, and I believe in...
It was an orderly.
Yeah, like some dude interrupts it and is like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, we get they pin her down. There's this big yelling match between I believe it's some staff, the nurse and the orderly and some dude about how terrible the hospital is run.
Yeah.
And then someone mentions they saw a kid slip by.
Oh, right. Because then that
what
is the...
was this? And this doesn't come back up. I assume Anne comes back up later in the chapter, but she doesn't come back up in this section.
No, she doesn't.
It was... earlier, we didn't mention this before. Earlier, Matt was talking about having to be wary of Barlow's human thralls because they can move in the daylight, pointing at Floyd, which I really didn't think Barlow actually... I assumed Barlow had something to do with turning Floyd into a vampire.
Also, I just don't get the day thing because wasn't he covered head to toe anyway?
Yeah. He was in the
literally
process.
wearing gloves, had the whole suit on. Yeah.
Yeah, they were acting as if Floyd isn't a vampire when he very clearly is. But it felt like they brought it up just so we'd understand what was going on with Anne.
I think, and then we cut to the boy that dashed by.
Yep.
Mark gets there, states that tells him what happened.
He's broken at this point. Yeah. Mark ain't happy, and we get basically him breaking down. Just catching everyone else up. Anytime someone knows something, we have to get another section to catch up. But then we end this with a little bit on Father Callahan, right?
Yeah, this was
our last bit here.
Yeah, this was interesting.
Oh no, we have that team meeting at the very end. Yeah, we get Father Callahan just wandering on the street. We get a couple mentions of him just wandering through the roads and like almost getting hit a few times. And then he tries to go into the church.
Reaches for the door and sparks fly. And he gets thrown from the church.
Oh yeah, God ain't got nothing to do with him. Oh, yeah.
Father Callahan, completely sufficiently broken.
Yep, you ain't getting to heaven, bro. You done. You done. Which, we won't have time in this episode. We're running kind of long to like really get into what the hell is heaven in the Stephen King universe.
Oh, geez.
But we're coming to the wrap up. We got to talk about it then.
Yeah.
We got time to put our thoughts together because I'm gonna have to just pull some shit out of my ass to make these theories work. But yeah, our last section of this episode, not of this chapter, is another team meeting.
Right.
This is when they're like, make 300 steaks.
Yeah, that was... I just couldn't. Like, that might have actually been the Prep Van Helsing clown fiesta too much. Like, because they react, of course, like, how? What do you mean?
Yep.
He's like... And then his response is just to go, no, you don't understand. You absolutely have to. You don't realize how many people are changed in this town by now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, A, how do you know you've been in bed the whole time? And B, how do you think we're going to make that many steaks? You know, find anything, a piece of wood, but whatever you can shape. And I was just like, okay, this is...
I think
is this going to turn into Rambo? Is he going to have a bow on his back? 15 steaks.
It's going to be like Hansel and Gretel Vampire Hunter.
Yes.
What was that movie? Witch Hunter? Did you see that one?
No, I don't think so.
It was dumb, but it was enjoyable. They had steak crossbows repeating.
Of course, yeah.
It's pretty good.
I think Blade had a steak shotgun. Isn't that what he used?
They need some of that serum. Make Barlow explode.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Mean, this certainly seems to suggest that the science can be as applicable as the supernatural.
Yeah.
I mean, they make I believe somewhere we very lightly skipped it, but I believe in one of those meetings they actually asked Jimmy again, how are you feeling after he gave himself that serum to save himself.
And I don't know if that's foreshadowing or not.
Yeah, I don't know, but it appears to be working.
Yeah, because Matt mentions like you're real lucky. Like, how do you know? Have you run into vampires? Maybe penicillin's 100% cure.
Yeah.
You don't know if he's lucky.
But Matt would, because Matt knows everything about vampires now. With an absolute certainty.
That's what happens when you lay in a hospital bed for a week and read all the books on vampires at your local library in a small town in Maine.
Well, now I know what I need to do if I ever end up in the hospital.
Read about vampires.
Someone run down to the local library and pick me up all the books.
Ooh, actually, just thought of something. One of the people that we didn't give a shit about that they mentioned is all vamped out now is the librarian. Maybe she comes at night to drop off some books and just gives Matt the old suck. Give him the old pierce and suck, as they say. The bite your neck and slurp it all out move. Yeah.
Maybe.
But
I'd be hard pressed to think that anything is getting like in there. Matt kind of feels, if he dies, I'm almost positive it has to be in some ludicrous fashion, because otherwise he seems pretty magically protected.
Yeah.
He is the Van Helsing. It describes him having like 15 crucifixes in that damn room. Do
you think he'd stop jokingly referring to himself as a agnostic at this point? Like, you don't need that bad karma, bro. Father Callahan lost his faith and died. Come on. Oh, we do get from that bit, I think this is very important, Mark spat on Barlow.
Oh, yes.
Barlow God.
As he was fleeing, he spat on Barlow, yeah. And then he tells them, because Mark also makes the proclamation that he guarantees Barlow will be dead.
Yep.
Same revenge for his parents, obviously.
Yep. So...
the pieces have been set. The board has been placed.
Anne is not a vampire, but she was a vampire's thrall. You gonna give that one to me?
Who's Anne?
Sue's mom.
I mean, that's what she is, yeah.
Okay, cool. So that gives me a 2. I am still not caught up to you. And I think we'll leave the kids to next time, see if we see him again.
Yeah, we need to see if we're at the end, too. We're getting near the end, so I want to see if Warts lives.
Yep.
Because that's a full survive.
So yeah, I guess like officially for now. We're not going to call it on anyone else but Anne, because Anne's at least a villain.
Yeah.
Cool. God, anything else to say on this badly paced section?
It's hard. It's hard to say until it's over.
Yeah.
When we get past this last chunk, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of the future, I'm gonna throw away this book. No. Next episode, we're gonna finish this chapter. It'll be about another 25 sections, and then from there,
the little dab and the wrap up.
Yeah.
Right after that are a couple tiny chapters, and then we can just do the after stuff.
So we'll decide by the next time whether we're gonna do that in its own episode or do it in the wrap up.
Yeah.
We can figure that out. And then very soon, we'll award that Serious Man trophy. I'm feeling a little better. I'm only 1 point behind now, I think.
Yeah. Wait.
Or are we even?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's 2. Yeah.
Okay.
2 even.
So, this is a bit better. Anything else before we
Nope.
jet out of here?
I think we're good now.
All right. So I guess until next time, I've been desperately hoping that Weasel is somehow alive, even though nothing in this book has ever been a red herring. And you've read the book.
Yeah.
You an orange?
No.
Hole in the Wall Book Club is a part of the Icynewyear Productions Network, and produced and edited by Anthony Sheets. The music in this episode is Supernatural Radio by Kevin MacLeod. There'll be a link to his license and website in the show notes. If you want to get a hold of us, tweet us at Icynewyear, or send an email to icynewyear@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to tell a friend, or leave us a review on your podcatcher of choice. Word of mouth and 5-star reviews really help us get out in front of more people, and let us expand and do more things. More information on the show can be found on icynewyear.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.